Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here. You know that thing I said about making a backlog of art to post and stuff? Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Whoops. Just a fun fact. This art, based on, you know, the title of the art piece is FNaF 2 movie hype, and I I made this um I started making it the day before the movie came out, and I didn't finish it until after Christmas, and um I didn't start doing the voiceover until January cuz I don't know why I just didn't feel like doing it yet. I mean, at one point I was sick, and that was a good excuse why, but then I stopped being sick and then I just never did it. But anyway, um, because whenever I think of FNaF 2, I think of specifically the toys. I also think of the Wizards, but like with the movie, it was specifically like the marketing was more about the toys. So I was more focused on the toys. And whenever I think of the toys, I specifically think of Toy Bonnie as like the mascot of the toys in my head. I don't know why. It just makes sense in my head that he is the toy mascot. So that's why I'm drawing him specifically as the only threat in the office, because I didn't want to draw multiple animatronics, because when I did both versions of Monty, it was a lot. So I also didn't do too much with the office. Like, I feel kind of bad for how little effort went into the background of the office, but by the time I got to the point where I wanted to do the background, I did not want to add more that I didn't have during the sketch phase. So yeah. There's also, even though this is hype around the FNaF movie, the second one at least, I didn't want to make it Mike from the movie. I wanted it to be game version, so this would be Jeremy, but also I had no idea how I wanted Jeremy to look. In my head, I know what Michael looks like. I have no idea what Jeremy looks like. Like, I know there's like fan and interpretation, but like, because there's so little characterization around the night guards that aren't literally Michael, I just didn't know what I wanted. So pardon how generic he looks, but also he has a Freddy head on his face, so I couldn't even see it really anyway. In all honesty, if I didn't have mask over his face, I probably would put a little bit more effort into designing him, but if I'm being honest, this was really about Toy Bonnie. If I had to compare between Withered Bonnie and Toy Bonnie, Withered Bonnie wins every time because I like the indigo blue more, but I've also had a huge bias for Bonnies since the beginning, so I guess that's why I picked Toy Bonnie. Specifically out of the toys, if I had been picking out of the entire cast of FNaF 2, it probably would have been either the puppet or Withered Bonnie. Honestly, Bonnie is my favorite because the whole debate over in the first one, is he purple? And I'm sad that Scott said that he was never purple, but that's beside the point. He's no longer purple, but he's still my favorite because I gained that attachment to him when I thought he was purple all that time. And so it doesn't matter that every iteration of Bonnie since has been blue. He's still purple in my heart, guys. Honestly, the real reason that I like Toy Bonnie specifically is because of the Mando Pony Survive the Night song. The concept of him acting friendly just clicked in my head. Like, yes, I like that. I think that's what I liked about the first FNaF movie, honestly, is that they killed people, but then also they built a fort and it was adorable and I liked it. I think because the games have them acting so violent towards the player character, it scratches an itch in my head whenever they actually act nice. I guess it's because in the games they don't really act like that until later. Also, why why in that moment did I put his bow tie over top of his arm? I hope I fixed that. That was atrocious. It might not be immediately obvious to you, but maybe you noticed that during the line art stage, Toy Bonnie started looking more like Toy Bonnie. That's because I didn't use a reference the first time whenever I did the sketch, and I kind of regretted that because I ended up having to re-sketch on the line art layer and then just clean up the lines. It was kind of annoying to do that, and I don't want to do that again, so I'm never doing that again. Well, I'm not going to say never because I know me. I'm probably going to do the exact same thing eventually. I've actually done this exact thing on purpose, but it was whenever I was all like, yeah, I'm not doing a line art layer, I'm just going to clean up the sketch layer. That is completely different from what I did here. This was, did a really messy sketch layer, and then I traced over it, and it was supposed to be all nice and pretty, but then I was all like, no, the foundation's just bad, so let's just redo it and then clean it up, because I'm not dealing with this. I distinctly remembered Toy Bonnie's tail position being really bad, but I didn't remember it being that bad. I promise I fixed it. I hated this so much that I redid it on the sketch layer so that I had a better foundation to work from, because I didn't know how I was going to do it without redoing the sketch on that layer, but only for the tail. I didn't do that anywhere else, I don't think. I also regretted not figuring out what the deal with his legs were before, because I just didn't put in the effort to do that, and then I struggled with this part of his body, and I was like, good enough, that's it, yeah. It does end up looking good, but just know I struggled. Also here, the black outline of the inner part of the white is still there. It will not be there later, and I knew at this point it wasn't going to be there later. I just need to know where I wanted it so that whenever I went and colored it, it would be where I wanted it. Sorry if you're having trouble listening to me because my audio keeps changing a little bit. I have a problem where instead of like leaning forward and talking to the mic, I like tilt my head back so I can see my laptop screen better. Just know I'm trying to not do that now, because I just went back and edited and realized that was what the problem was. I just realized I did fix the bow tie. I'm glad I did that. It sucks I wasn't paying attention when it happened, but I fixed it. Oh, interesting tidbit about the recording, and probably why it took me so long to get this done, and why I haven't made a backlog. I'm pretty sure it's probably because this one piece was 5 hours long of working on it. About 5 hours working on this. So I guess I just wasn't looking to start another one until after I edited this video. And I didn't feel like editing this video. So here we are in January, when this was the beginning of December. I guess this is past FNaF 2 movie hype at this point. It's more of a celebration that we got a second movie at this point. I really enjoyed it. I think I liked the first film more just because we didn't really get a like cute moment where we're reminded that they're just little kids, and I think we didn't necessarily need one, but that was one of my favorite parts of the first movie. I feel like it's like because it highlights the tragedy of it while also feeling lighthearted in the moment, because it is really tragic that they are murdered children, but in that moment, like, it's kind of joyful because it's like, oh, Abby's having fun with the kids. For us, it's super fun because we're like, haha, music's happening, and then like you sit and think about it and you're like, oh, they're dead kids. Like, the reminder has like a juxtaposition to it. Oh, here is a moment where I accidentally rotated the canvas, and I have no idea how I did it still. I did it multiple times, and that's a new clip there, is because I was all like, I can't keep working like this if I don't know how to fix it. So then I closed it and reopened it to get out of that mode, because I just couldn't deal with it. I didn't notice, like, I can pinpoint exactly when it happened, but I didn't notice it for a while. I can, like, you probably noticed it when you were like, wait a minute, his ears look a little straight right now. They're supposed to be, like, bent towards the other way. And maybe you didn't notice, I don't know, because I didn't notice in the moment. But if you go back, it's pretty noticeable when it happens if you're looking for it. I think I do this every time that there's multiple characters, but I'll polish one of their colors or line art at a time and then go to the other one after. It's just something that makes sense to me to make one polished and then move on and do that stage to other areas instead of doing it all at once, because I'd like it to be polished a little faster. And I feel like the fastest way to do that is to focus on one thing and then go to other areas and then zoom out and look at things that don't look right and then polish it that way. And it's not a huge deal to have it not polished that quickly, but it scratches an itch in my brain when I realize, hey, it actually looks good now. I do like how it looks when it is messy, but when it looks polished, I feel like it's more impressive to other people. I also don't leave in as many mistakes when I'm polishing it because I spend more time on it. And so I'll take a break and then I'll come back and I'll go, oh no, there's so much wrong here. And then I'll fix it. But if it's messy, I go, who cares? Also, I just realized I didn't have to be so finicky with the lines of the table and the characters and the fact that their color layers are in separate layers so that the hands can go over the table. I just realized I could have colored that part of their bodies on the background layer and then I wouldn't have had to deal with that. The colors all could have been on one layer to begin with anyway, but the way that my workflow has been going, it's more convenient if I can just erase instead of having to exact color match the shading on something. If I went outside the lines, I can just erase what's outside the lines instead of going, oh no, the blue's outside the lines. Now I have to exact color match the shading I have on the table. That's terrible. But it's a double-edged sword. If they're interacting with their background, I feel like it creates some problems a little bit. We have about a minute left in the video. I was very excited to get to this part because things started to look really good all of a sudden, and that's always exciting. Again, I wish I did more with the background, but by the time I got to the end of this, I wanted to be done so bad. I wish that I hadn't made his shirt gray, but otherwise Jeremy looks awesome to me. Toy Bonnie also looks awesome to me. Here at the end, I'm playing with the light above them and how it's affecting them. I wanted it to go over the line art so that it would look shinier on Toy Bonnie especially. I think I also do it on the table and maybe Freddy's nose. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell there. And now we have arrived at the end. I really hope you enjoyed. This is one of my favorite parts, is comparing between the sketch and the final. I really like seeing how differently the colors turned out, especially. I always think they're more saturated than they really are in the sketch phase, and I love figuring out in the mid-process that I was wrong. I think that's why I like coloring the sketch so much. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!